Well, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our session. We are going to be talking about pathways into the health professions. 105 of you, yay, I'm so glad to see so many people. This is awesome. And so basically what we want to do is talk to you a little bit, because of where our home base is, about how do you navigate the roadmap into the health professions. And so if you have questions throughout, please raise your hand. Hopefully we can see that, or speak up and just say, excuse me, because there's so many of you that we obviously can't see all of the tiles. But I definitely want to invite you to make this session as interactive as possible, because it's a lot more fun that way for you and for us as well that are presenting. So just by ways of introduction, and I wish we had time to get all of you to introduce yourselves, because I mean, if I had 2 hours, we would do it. So I'd love to hear a little bit of your stories, but sadly, we only have an hour. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about who we are and where we're from. So we are coming to you from Texas, right? Almost in the center. We're in San Antonio, which is a great place to visit. I would invite y'all to come anytime. It's a multicultural city, and as soon as travel is safe again, we have lots to do in San Antonio. And importantly, we're in San Antonio in terms of the school. So my name is Dr. Irene Chapa. I was a high school science teacher before I went to graduate school. I earned my PhD in the area of cardiovascular physiology, but I'm a teacher at heart, and I really, really, really missed being in front of students. So I transitioned from a full-time lab research position into this administrative position, where we are very blessed and fortunate to be able to create pipeline programs to help students like you and get into where you want to go. Because I know when I was your age, I was fairly lost, and I didn't really have good role models, just because my family didn't really come from a medical background in terms of careers. And so, so our office's goal is to enlighten the road so that you all can get there in a much easier way than maybe I did. I'll let the rest of my team introduce themselves, though. Miss Olga, you're up.
Yes, ma'am. I am coming. I was looking at everybody. But anyway, I am Olga Coronado, and I do work here at UT Health. I'm a program coordinator. Actually, I'm just an assistant to Dr. Chapa. I love working with these programs. I like to, I enjoy meeting you all or students that are on a path to whatever their goal is. So I love my job, and I hope you enjoy our presentation, and you can enjoy it more by participating and being a little bit interactive. Okay, so try and get the most out of the presentation as you can.
So Kristen, I think, is having trouble getting on. I see the messages going back and forth.
Yes.
Between her and Adriana, and so hopefully she'll be joining us soon. She is another coordinator in our office as well, and she comes to us by way of engineering background from Houston, Texas. And Adriana, do you want to introduce yourself?
So hello, my name is Adriana Avendano. I used to be one of the students that came through UTASCA through one of the ortho programs, and now I work with them. So I'm another program coordinator, and we really enjoy working with students and getting the word out about STEM. I'm finishing up my degree myself, so I'm probably a little bit closer to you guys, but I'm doing biomedical engineering, and hopefully you guys learn something and get a little bit more interested and involved in STEM, or learn something that you didn't know before. And like always, we're always here to answer any of your questions.
Thank you, Adriana. Okay, so I just want to give you guys a few kind of guidelines that would really help you, help us kind of connect with you. I would love it if you would turn your cameras on. I know that it's hard for us to see all 116 of you. but it really does help us stay engaged if we can. And if you speak, then your towel comes to the front and we can see your face instead of just a name. So if you can, turn on your cameras. I'd be really grateful. And we'd love to have your names if you haven't already done that. Also, if you could, and I think all of you already did, we appreciate it when we're muted. It's not giving a part of the conversation, to just keep the noise level down. I promise now I put my phone away, so I'm hoping Kristen can get on, but if she can't, we will keep it. And I'm not going to look at my text anymore because I want to dedicate this hour to you. And we do invite you, as Ms. Olga said, to be interactive. Really, we want to answer the questions that you have because this session is for you. And so please let us know if there's something we're not covering or you have a comment. Please, we want you to feel like you're a part of this hour. And I would encourage you to have something to write with because we're going to go over a whole lot of stuff. And if you might feel overwhelmed or you just want to take notes or write down our emails, you can get back in touch with us at a later date. And if you didn't get my email or our emails, we can put them back up at the end again if you need them. Miss Olga, you're up.
Sorry. It's Kristen still.
Yes.
We'll take care of it, I guess. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about the pathways into the medical professions. I am actually trying to, they just told us this morning to try and talk to the camera, so that's what I'm trying to do because we usually look at the screen. But that is something challenging for me. So I am going to be, I don't know how I look. I want to see myself, but I can't. Okay. So in your pathway to your goal, you're going to have all these signs thrown at you. But these signs are not a sign for you to stop striving for what you really want to do, whether it's a doctor or a nurse, whether it's a dentist, whether it's a radiology tech, a phlebotomist, it doesn't matter, or an engineer or a lawyer or anything. These kind of signs will always come up to you. You're going one way and you think you're going the right way and this is the way it should be done because this is what I've heard, this is what they've told me, and all of a sudden I got it and it's the wrong way. So what do? So then you kind of, it says no U-turn. Well, sometimes you do have to take a U-turn. We try not to take U-turns when you think that it's too difficult. That's why the U-turn is right there. It tells you that it's not allowed. That's when we should be aware that the U-turns are not allowed. Just because you think the task is harder than what you thought, well then just work a little harder so that you can keep on going. And like I said, if you are on the wrong way, well then just reverse or turn around. And but you need to proceed. And maybe the next time you just need to proceed with more caution, be a little bit, yield a little bit, and actually listen to the people that are around you. I have kids in high school and kids in college, and I tell them what I hear here, or what we're trying to teach. And sometimes they hear me and they're like, oh, wow, Mom, that is true. And I was like, yeah, especially the college girls, right? They've had to learn the hard way because they didn't want to listen. I didn't know any better because I'm Mom. But actually I was trying to give them good advice and they kind of sort of did the opposite. Well, at least one of them did. And the other one is really striving. So when you see these signs, especially the sign that says stop, yeah, you can stop for a little while, but don't let that be the end of your road. You need to continue that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that actually, Olga. I'm trying to.
You do that to me all the time.
I do when I mean to, but this time I didn't mean to. So.
Okay.
But she's right. There are signs all along the way, and the thing to remember is, to know when they're trying to tell you something. Let's talk a little bit though. Have you ever, even though you're looking at the signs, found yourself lost or super lost? Whether it's like going somewhere or on the educational pathway, does anyone want to share? Have you ever felt this way?
I felt this way for sure.
Yeah?
Yeah, so I wanted to be a pharmacist, but in California it's like super saturated in the field, so I actually decided to do something else. But I was really contemplating it super heavily, but I feel like the decision I made now is a better decision.
Okay. So good. Yeah, transferability of credits. Thank you for sharing that. You know, sometimes you're right. We feel lost, just like, where am I supposed to be headed? Some people say they feel lost almost all of the time. I feel it. I get it. You know, sometimes I feel lost in my own home, but it's true. But with regards to an educational pathway, it's okay to admit that you're lost, that maybe you don't understand, you know, how do you go from, if you want to go from a community college to a four-year university and then on to professional school. So that's what this conversation is going to be about. I would rather I would rather say, hey, I'm lost. Can you help me get back on the road again? Than just a lot of time needlessly lost. And so hopefully by the end of this conversation, you won't be as lost with regards to your career path, okay?
I just wanted to say that on the chat, there are a lot of yes, definitely. Yup, yes, almost all the time. Yes, yeah, what research needs to be done while at CC.
Okay.
How
So does
works. I mean, they have a lot of questions. I'm sure I struggle with feeling behind a lot. So that's why we're here.
Yeah.
To
Yes.
try and guide you and give you as much as information so you won't feel so lost, and you won't be thinking that you're falling behind. Maybe you're at the right place. And sometimes in education, it doesn't matter where you start, it's where you end, and how long it takes. It doesn't matter as long as you accomplish.
Yes, that's exactly right. And so the questions are like applying to med school, some people feeling behind, and we're going to talk about that road in just a minute. And so the only advice I want to give you with regards to feeling behind is that, you know, we never really know why it is that some people can get through in 3 years and some people take 10. But the reality is that, you know, at the bottom line is finish, you know, get to the finish line. So, maybe if we stop thinking like we're maybe behind and we're just moving forward at a pace that's good for us, that's okay. So hopefully by the end, we'll answer some of your questions, and if not, we'll have time for a Q&A.
Okay, guys, so we talked about coming from UTSCA, right? So at the bottom left-hand picture, that right there is UTSCA or UT Health at San Antonio, so where we're at. But a long time ago, people were lost because there was no medical school. So if you look just above that, there was nothing but grain silos and land. So there definitely was a long road from this top left-hand picture to where we are now, and they're still constantly upgrading and renovating and bringing in new people in every single year. So the school was built in 1968, and since then now we have 5 schools, and it definitely was a long road because there was no medical school at first, and the San Antonio the San Antonio Medical Area Foundation said that they petitioned and they said that if we donate this land, then we need you to build a medical school. So that's exactly what happened. So they definitely made this happen and made a lot of dreams come true. And that's why it's important that you are taking the steps you need and following your map, your road to your success.
Yes, and so with regards to the health professions at UT Health, we are considered a health science center because we have more than one school on campus. So while our medical school was the first one, and it came in 1968, since then we've opened up 5 more schools. So we have the School of Allied Health Professions, the School of Dentistry, the School of Nursing, and the School of Biomedical Research. I graduated from UT Health a long time ago in 1999. Oh my God. Yeah, 1999 with my PhD. And then I did my postdoc there. So I've seen the school grow and they're still on the road to growth. In fact, we're opening a new building, I think next month. So the way that this talk is going to be structured with regards to this information right now is I'm going to talk about each school individually and kind of what the roadmap is for that. I'm going to go a little quickly because I really want to have time to answer your specific questions at the end. So please, I'm sorry if it feels rushed. I'm going to rush through this, but if you have a question, please speak up at the moment. Don't feel like you can't. And then at the end, we'll try and make time for more questions if you have them. So we're going to start with our School of Dentistry. I don't know if any one of you is interested in dentistry, but these are all the awesome things that dentists can take care of. Can somebody just give me one thing that you see on the screen? So I'll say cavities. So they take care of cavities, obviously. What else do they take care of? Just shout it out, somebody.
A cleft palate.
Excellent. Cleft palates. Good. What else?
Braces.
Braces, right? So maybe teeth that are a little crooked, if they need cleaning. That's right. And so our dentists take care of these things. Now, how do you become a dentist? Okay, so you guys have already graduated from high school and you all are at the community college level. So in order to go to dental school, you would have to either complete your associate's degree or at least take the prerequisites that would allow you to get into a four-year program. So you would be transferring from your community college to a four-year institution, earning your bachelor's degree in either a science or in something else, so a BS or a BA. And then you would take an exam called the DAT in what would be your fourth year of college, so your senior year of college, and then you would be admitted to dental school. It's a four-year program, so 4 years in dental school, and then when you get out, you are ready to practice. Now, the dentists really want me to tell you that they work about 30 hours a week, and they are one of the most highly regarded professions. So it's a great career field if that's what you love. And then if you want to specialize, so if you want to be like an orthodontist, then you would go on to fellowship, but that's an option, not a requirement. Now in the dental school, we also have a program called dental hygiene. So if somebody wants to be a hygienist. So for that one, the prerequisites are only 2 years long. So you could do all of your prereqs at community college and then transfer to a school like ours to earn your four-year degree in dental hygiene. Okay. Are there any questions about dentistry specifically? Okay. Oh, maybe there is. Veterinary medicine. So sadly, we don't have a vet program at our school. The best one in Texas is at Texas A&M. I'll just defer to them. And so we don't have a vet program, but it's actually just as competitive, if not more competitive, to get into veterinary programs than it is to get into human doctor programs because there's not as many of those programs around. So how do you shadow dentists? So how do you shadow? You shadow any profession by knocking on a door, or actually now making a phone call, and asking if you can. So I highly recommend for you all to be proactive. Sometimes you just have to go in there and say, hey, I want to be like you. Can you help me get there? Can I shadow you once a week for 2 hours? And most people are pretty amenable to that. Okay, so this is another school, and this is the Graduate School of Biomedical Research. So here, people are doing different kinds of work in a lab, and they're working towards a PhD. So you can see that we have all kinds of options for you here. Can somebody tell me what kind of cell is being shown here? Anybody?
Neurocell?
Yeah, it's a neuron. That's right. It's a nerve cell. And so, so you could study cells. I personally studied whole animals. So like the little black hooded rats that are down there, that's the kind of animals that I worked with. Some people want to work with tissues, like on the lower left-hand corner there, you have cardiac tissue. And some people want to work with people. So it's totally up to you what kind of research you want to do. here's how you go into that, okay? So you are in college, you have to get your associate's degree and then transfer to a 4-year institution. And then you take a different test than what would be your junior, senior year of college, and that is the GRE. And then you go on to grad school. Now, the time in grad school is when you're taking classes, and then you're doing research in your lab. And that can take anywhere from 3 to 6 years. It took me 6. And I'll tell you, I was a single mom when I went through. I ate a lot of ramen. I was living off of a stipend of $11,000 a year. Today, the stipends that we give all our grad students is actually now, I think it's around 35 or 38,000 a year. So the cool thing about grad school is that you actually get paid to go to school, because the work that you're doing is helping advance science. And then after you get done with that, you move on to what we call the postdoc. And then eventually you can either have your own lab, or you can teach at a university, or you can work for private industry. So there's a lot you can do with a PhD. Any questions about that? Okay, so I'm just going to skip back. Someone asked about dental hygiene, and they say that it's usually an associate's degree. Can it be done if they're just finishing up the 2 years? Can the rest be done online? So for us, there are some online classes right now because of COVID, but a lot of the clinicals need to be done with patients. And what's actually happening is they're having patients, because dental hygienists and dentists have to be in contact with saliva and the mucous membranes of the face. They're having the patients actually COVID test, and the test cannot be older than 2 weeks before they get seen by our students. So that's how it works. Can we ask about, do we have a PA program? Yes. And so actually I'm not in dentistry. I have a PhD. And so this school that is on right now, this is the one that I'm in. So I think I'm going to just move forward, and then we'll answer all the questions as we get them. Okay, popping up through the chat. So this is a big one. This is the School of Allied Health Professions, and we have tons of programs here. So I'll be honest, the bulk of our students that come straight from community college actually go into these programs, because the prerequisites can be done at the community college level. So the first one is the Medical Lab Scientist program. So you would finish your 2 years at whatever college you're at, and then you would move on with us or a school like us for your medical lab science degree. These are the folks that do analysis on like blood and tissue. We also have specialties in forensic toxicology and cytogenetics. We also have a paramedic program. It's a bachelor's program. You can earn an associate degree and be an EMT, but we are training for the full paramedic if you're interested. We have there's a respiratory care program, which does require a bachelor's first. And then we have the PA program that someone was asking about. This is a master level program. So that means that you get your 4-year degree first, and then you join us for the next 3 years. We also have a program in speech language pathology and occupational therapy. A lot of these are, I'm going to throw out some words here now that you might hear not only from us, and that's plus programs or bridge programs, okay? So a lot of these allied health programs are what we call 2+2s or bridge programs. The first number is the number of years that it typically takes someone to take their courses at the community college level. And then at the next number is what you would take at a professional school like ours. So it's 2 years somewhere else, 2 years with us, okay? So those are those plus programs. We also have other words people use are bridging programs, and that is like if some professional schools, we have agreements with undergrads, whether they're a 2-year or 4-year school. And what those will do is they will say that if you accomplish your schooling there and you do well, you automatically, semi-automatically get accepted into the professional program. So you might look for bridging programs if you're interested in those. Okay. Anyone have a burning question about allied health before I move on, and then we'll get to all the chat questions at the end.
Yes, I do actually.
Great.
Sorry, that's very interesting. So I want to be actually a perfusionist, and I know that's a very, very niche subject, and I've been trying to talk to my counselors and everything, and it's something that many people don't really have any advice about. Can you give me any advice to help me out?
So a perfusionist in terms of for tissues, or like doing plasmapheresis or transplant?
Plasmapheresis.
Okay, so so things like perfusionists or vascular sonographers and things like that, you're right, they're very specific training programs, and very often you're going to see those found more in like a certificate type program in for-profit schools. So my advice to you for that is just to be mindful that the for-profit schools that you might consider truly are accredited programs, because a lot of the ones in town are not, here in San Antonio anyway. The other thing is there are some community college programs, like here in town we have the Alamo College District, and I don't think they have perfusion as one of their specialties, but they have a lot of others. So I would look to see if there are specific certificate programs, and my key advice to you is to just ensure that the program is reputable, because there's so many out there that will say, you know, we'll train you in 3 months, and then you go out, but then you're not employable because the program is not accredited. So be careful.
Yeah, okay, thank you. And sorry, one more question. You guys have the cardiovascular perfusion program, correct?
We have that, not with us, but at some of the, I believe one of the Alamo colleges has that. So,
Okay, thank you.
So who we are, and maybe I'm sorry if I didn't make this clear. We are the professional school. So we see students after they've gone to community college and or for university, and then they come to us. So the professional schools are the schools where you are actually now training specifically in the chosen profession. So, oh, we have lots of questions on the chat, so I'm going to keep going, and let me talk, and then I'll get to all of those, because I think maybe that's a better, maybe some of these comments will answer those, and then we'll answer them.
Yeah, I told them on a message that most of the questions that are written down on the chat are going to be answered when we go into the medical school.
Thank you. So here's the medical school. Thank you, Olga. So you can see here, these are different kinds of doctors. So a neurosurgeon, or plastics and reconstruction. Here you have a heart, so that's cardiothoracic, specialty, right, orthopedics. And so if you want to be a doctor, you do have to, at some point, when you're in med school, choose what kind of doctor you want to be, or you can also choose what kind of population you want to work with. So you might want to be a neonatologist and work with those little tiny babies like up on the upper left, or you want to work with grandma and grandpa, so you would be a geriatrician. So lots of options for you. And how do you get there? Well, you all are here in college, and you're working towards your associate degree. Now, the prerequisites for medical school are 94 hours of prereqs, and by prereqs we mean the classes that you take somewhere else. So that can include basic English, general biology, but also the fine arts and Texas government and statistics and all these classes. So in order to complete the prereqs, you can do the first 2 years at community college, but then you have to transfer to a 4-year to get the upper division courses. This time when you're at the university, you would take a test called the MCAT, and then you would apply to medical school. So medical school is 4 years, and at the end of that, you graduate with an MD, but you are not ready to practice. So what you have to do is do what we call an internship and a residency. Now, during that time, you are getting paid, but the hospitals are training you, and they are taking care of your malpractice insurance. So in Texas right now, our interns are starting off at about 58 to 60,000 a year, which is really low for all the knowledge they have in their heads. But it's because they're still not ready to stand on their own, and they're not fully licensed. Okay. So let me just, the last school is our nursing school. And to get into nursing school, it's very different because we have so many kinds of nurses. So you could start off with an associate's degree, and that would allow you to take the registration test. In Texas, it's called the NCLEX, and so it allows you to be an RN, but that's with a 2-year training. In Texas right now, most hospitals are requiring a 4-year degree. So you would transition to a 4-year program, and you could do that straight from the community college, and then you would earn your BSN. At that point, then you can go and work, or you could also get your doctor degree, you could get your nurse practitioner degree, and so forth. Now, I know we threw a lot at you, and I promise we're going to get to your questions, but I want to just in general tell you the things that are really important as you navigate your roadmap. And that is that all 5 schools, whether it's in Texas at UT Health, or it's Stanford or Harvard or in Kalamazoo, they're all going to be looking for very similar things. And so these are the things that as you travel your roadmap, you want to make sure you are stopping at these locations and ensuring that you're packed in the right way. So you want to make sure your grades are good. We're going to look at your GPA. And what is good? Well, you know, it's a matter of opinion, but on average, GPAs are pretty high. However, if your GPA is not super high, then you need to be, high in other ways. So GPA is the first thing. The next stop is your test scores. We all the professional schools are going to be looking at test scores. So the MCAT, the DAT, the GRE, all of these tests that maybe if you're younger, you might remember taking the SAT in high school. So it's kind of like that. That was the test that got you into community college. And then the test that gets you into schools like us are these other tests, the GRE, the MCAT, and so forth. The other things that we look at, ladies and gentlemen, are super important, and they don't have anything to do with grades, but they have to do with who you are as a person. You need to have clinical experiences. You need to shadow. You need to do community service, because all of these professions, although they're going to give you a great financial lifestyle, that's not the reason you go into them. Because I'll tell you, the dollar can make you happy temporarily, but if you don't love what you're doing, you'll be miserable. So make sure you enjoy it by checking it out. Do community service and see if you get warm fuzzies. And then interviewing skills, they're really important. So learn how to be eloquent. Don't be afraid to look at somebody in the eye. And especially now when we don't know when or if we're going to transition back to in-person interviews and things, being able to come across on a screen is very important. Also, how you dress, how your background presents itself. Those are all things that at an interview could push you to the yes pile or keep you on the maybe or the no pile. So make sure you're taking care of all of these things. Miss Olga, do you want to add anything?
No, they have a lot of questions.
Okay, so should we just go through and answer the questions?
Yeah,
Okay, so why don't we do that? So the key thing that I want you to take away, all of us do, is the roads are a little long. I'm not going to deny. But if you want to get there, then hey man, fill your tank with gas and get on the road. Pack your snack bags and vámonos, right? Let's go. When I was growing up in Laredo, they told me, you're never gonna, why do you want to be a scientist? Why do you want to go away to school? You know, and I had a lot of people tell me, no, mijita, right? It's not the right thing. But I knew in my heart what I was being called towards. And, you know, getting married young, getting divorced young, having a baby, not having money, all those things actually just made me stronger and want to accomplish my dream that I knew in my heart since I was 4 years old that I was going to be Dr. Chapa. And, you know, thank God, thanks to the leadership of a lot of people who believed in me, I can tell you that I'm very happy that I got here. And more importantly, that if a little girl from a border town was able to get here, then by all means, you know, every single one of you can accomplish your dreams. I have no doubt. The only thing you have to commit to is staying in the driver's seat and not pulling off the road and staying there too long, right? Keep driving.
Yeah, you are in the seat and only you are the one driving. You are the one that's going to make the decision. You need self-motivation. You need to motivate yourself. Hell, read quotes or anything that's going to motivate you so you can go. You need self-discipline for sure. We just talked about it with another class. Like those things are very important, because the only one that's going to get you to the end of the goal is yourself. Nobody else. If you're going to listen to other people and their negativity, you're never going to do it. You need to motivate yourself and believe in yourself. I mean, I tell my daughter just went back to school. She's 25. So she made some bad decisions, but she's going back, and we tell her it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You're going back now, and you're going to finish. You only have a year and a half to go, 3 semesters, right? And you'll get your bachelor's. So it doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as you don't lose hope, as long as you don't lose your confidence, as long as you keep fighting to get where you want to go. Do it.
Yes.
The field, the car is yours.
Yes, absolutely. And so I'm looking at your questions. I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to answer. So why don't you all just ask the questions rather than me? I think a lot of these I answered in the talk, but if you all just tell me your first name, where you're coming from, and what your question is, and I'll be happy. We'll spend the rest of the time answering questions. And Adriana and Olga, if you have insights that you want to share as well, please feel free. Yes, just speak up. Is it Brandon? You have your hand up? I don't know. Yes.
No.
Questions?
Hello.
Hi.
Hi. I have a question. I was interested because I want to become a physician, and I thought working in EMS might be a good path to that. So I was interested in your bachelor's program for EMS, and I didn't hear if you mentioned that I have to be a paramedic before I can apply to this. And also, could you talk about the admissions prereqs for the bachelor program?
So our paramedic program is a bachelor's degree program, and the only now that's the higher one. We do have the EMT program, and the only prerequisite is that you're 18 and are CPR certified and have completed high school. So that's the one program where we don't have any college prerequisites for the EMT training. Now, it is a stair-step process, so you do have to be an EMT before you become a paramedic, because that's a 4-year degree. But the thing to also note is my daughter is in that field, and she loves it. Like, she's an adrenaline junkie. She loves not knowing what's coming that day, and she wants to stay there. Some people go there because they want to use it as a stepping stone into med school. I will tell you that 100% of allied health professionals that have gone to our allied health schools and then applied to med school have gotten in. So the note about that is that those allied health professions are going to get you clinical experience in big ways. And so you don't have to be a paramedic to get to med school, but if you're going to volunteer or you're going to have a side job, if you can have a side job that gives you experiences that you can then translate into the next step that you're going to. So I would, while there's nothing wrong with flipping burgers and earning a good hard-earned dollar, if you also have the option of working in a hospital or doing something where you're involved with patient care, if you want to be in the medical field, then that would be maybe a better choice so that you can get skills. However, as I say that, if you're flipping burgers, the thing that you can note is you can still develop your work ethic, you can still develop customer service. So what I'm also trying to say is that as long as you can assign value to everything you do, then it's worth doing. Okay, you can assign value to digging holes if you learn something about hard work as you dig holes. You know what I mean? Other question?
Hi.
Hi, Ida.
Hi, this is Ida. I have a question about this journey. I know that all of us, as becomes everyone, medical, go to the medical school, dentistry school, pharmacy, or any other different ways. This journey has a lot of up and down in it, and I know all that. I just want to know, do you have any advice for us how we can prepare? Because going from undergrad to the graduate school, it has a lot of challenging, and I know that how we have to study will be changed a lot. Do you have any advice for us in the summer before attending to school, or in a way of starting, what should we do that we can become more successful?
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for your question. And you're right. The transition between every step along the way is difficult. So from high school to community college, maybe from community college to four-year institution, from four-year institution, professional school. I personally, I don't want it to sound cocky. I breezed through college. I got A's and I didn't study. When I got to graduate school, I was like hit with a brick wall because I didn't know how to study. And so if you can develop good study habits now, you will be ahead of where I was. And also the key thing is time management. You have to prioritize your time. So if you know you have an assignment, I would say, you know, practice now how to dedicate time to things that are critical, and then so that you have time to do things that you enjoy. And then speaking about things that you enjoy, make sure you give yourself downtime, because you don't want to burn out in community college and you don't want to burn out in college. You want to make sure that you're making time, whether it's playing sports, baking, doing wellness activities, meditating for me, you know, whatever it is that kind of gives you some downtime. It's really important.
Thanks a lot. It was so helpful.
You're welcome.
Hi, I have a question. My name's Daisy. I'm a community college counselor in Central California, and I often get, you know, these great, you know, highly ambitious students who want to major in like biomedical engineering because they think that's, you know, what's going to be what separates them when they're applying to medical school. And I often like to tell them, you know, a good old bio degree with a stellar GPA is going to go a long, long way, rather than having one of those biochemical engineer majors or biochemistry with, you know, a lower GPA. But can we reiterate that? Am I okay in telling the students that they can do biology that encompasses all of those prereqs? Because I think there was a question in the chat earlier, what major should I be? And that's part of my advice that I give to the students is if you're going from community college, you know, apply to a UC or you know, wherever they're trying to transfer to. And bio is fine, but what do you see and what advice would you give my students in that situation? Thank you.
Sure. So Daisy, I love the way you spell your name, by the way. Daisy, you're absolutely correct. The bottom line, and I'll let maybe Adriana or Olga chime in if they like, please y'all, because I can talk. The thing is that you're right in terms of we as a professional school, and I think UT or UC or any of the professional schools, we don't care necessarily what your major was in. What we care about is that you did well and that you met your prerequisites. So we see people who are dance majors, we see people who are English majors, history majors, as long as, now don't forget that I'm saying this too, that you take your prerequisites. So you can be an English major and take all the hard sciences and apply to med school. So what's important is, as Daisy was saying, that you do well in school. So if you love biology, be a bio major. If you love history, be a history major, but take your prereqs for the next level if that's where you want to go. The major itself is inconsequential to us, to be honest. Your GPA is more important.
Great, thank you. And I'll tell my mom you like the way she spelled my name.
Thank you. Any other questions? We're here for you for another 10 minutes.
Okay, so I have a question. So hi, my name is Sierra. I'm a community college student. My question is, like, how do you know what prereqs you need to take?
Good question. Adriana or Olga? I think you're muted, Adriana.
No, you're not. Go ahead.
So if you are trying to transfer to another like four-year institution, or if you're trying to go to med school, there are a lot of resources that you have to make sure that you're taking advantage of. Sometimes you can find these lists online for specific programs that you are interested in, and it's kind of like a guideline to make sure that you are taking the right course. And it just depends on where you're going. And there are a lot of little nitpicky kind of things that you have to pay attention to, because sometimes they might want this specific biology, or they might want this specific chemistry, or something that's really specific or really important. And sometimes they transfer and sometimes they don't. So it's just important to do your research and make sure that you're reaching out to transfer admissions and different professors. Sometimes there are ways around it. Sometimes you can say, oh, I've already taken this course, and you bring them the syllabus, you bring them the requirements, you bring them everything for that one particular class that you've already taken, and say, can this substitute for the class that you're requiring me to take? And then there are extra steps to get those approved, but sometimes that is an option if you've already taken a class similar to the one that's required. It's just important to keep track of everything, keep lists, make sure that you are looking at the correct forms, because every year sometimes these requirements might change for whatever school you're applying to, the professional school or a four-year institution. And so every year the program might change. If you're trying to like go into biomedical engineering at this four-year institution, they will change the requirements every other year. So just be sure that you're keeping track of everything and reaching out to those admissions officers and transfer admissions.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else?
I just wanted to add, I'm not answering a question, but I do want to advise, I guess, you all to always ask questions and don't be embarrassed. Anybody, I mean, like us, like you have us right now, especially Dr. Chapa. But when you're in school, like, don't be afraid to talk to your professor and ask questions if you're not really sure of what you're doing or where you're going. Your counselors, there's always somebody to reach out to. But if you don't ask, they're not going to be able to help you. So I advise that you build a relationship with a professor. Let them know who you are. Let them know that how much passion you have for whatever you're going to school, and ask questions that are going to help you, that are going to help you motivate you, that are going to help you I don't know, get ganas, you know, to do it, and inspire you that you can. But if you're going to be quiet and wait for something to fall on your lap, it's not going to happen. You need to look for it. You need to have that stride, that you have to want it. You have to want it. That's what it is. Like even in like basketball, and like I watched this person and then they lose, and I was like, well, they didn't want it. Look at how they're playing. They play harder, they would have won, but they didn't, right? So the Cowboys too, híjole, nombre, they're never going to make it because they just give up, you know? So you don't want to be like that. You want to be able to fight till the end, you know? I just want to tell you that. It's just really important to ask questions and to communicate with the people that are willing to help you. So keep that in mind. Welcome.
Absolutely. Miss Olga's correct. Absolutely. And Vanessa heard you and she raised her hand. So what's your question, Vanessa?
Yeah, so after her saying about the whole like no question is like a dumb question, I just wanted to do like a little research before I asked it, because me being a community college student, I'm going to be in school for 3 years, and I hear that undergrad is 4 years, which means that whatever college or university that I transfer to would be 1 year. Would that be tough for me, especially when I'm only going to be experiencing whatever college I transfer to for 1 year, and then all of a sudden go for my, I guess, medical school? Like, would that be tough for me, you think?
I don't think so. I think, so no, I think you do whatever you need to do in order to get to where you want to go. So if med school is your final goal, then it's fine. And you're right. Some people take years to get their undergrad. Some people take 3, and it just really depends on the circumstances of your life. But I don't think it would go against you to take 3 years at the community college and then finish your prereqs. And whether that takes you 1 year or more, that's okay. The important thing is to accomplish your goals. And I think, you know, I think the message that we are all giving you is that as you're navigating this roadmap, you have to have foresight. You don't just get in the car, or at least most of us don't, and then just drive. Let's see, where we go. No, right? You got to know where you're headed, right? And you got to prepare. If you say, let's just see where we go, and you don't put gas in your tank, you're not going to make it, right? Or like for me, I got to have my chili cheese Fritos, man, if I'm going for more than 45 minutes, right? So, and if I didn't, I'd be hungry. So, you know, you have to prepare before you get in the car. And if you're already in the car, you're already in school, obviously, make sure if there's a gas station, stop and fill up, right? Because you don't know when the next one's coming. So it's all metaphorical, but it's true. You know, in life, you have to know where you're going, have an end goal in mind. If you're starting to not believe in yourself, go talk to someone else who will believe in you. I'll tell you the truth. I tried to quit graduate school 3 times because I was tired, I was hungry, I was poor, I was exhausted. I had a little girl, and you know, and my mentor, you know, would say, "Go home, take 3 days off, and then I'll see you on Monday." And sure enough, I came back every Monday. So, and I'm so glad I did, because if I didn't have those letters behind my name, I wouldn't have the freedom to do the things that I can do now. So I'm so glad that someone else pushed me when I couldn't push myself. So when you get to those low moments, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you have someone else who'll give you the little empuje, right? Who can tell you keep, whoever that is. It might be family, it might be a professor, it might be your best friend. How do you find a mentor? You ask. You might go to sessions like this and find someone that you click with. Send them an email, you know, say, hey, can I be an e-mentor with you? You go to professional meetings in person, you'll be able to shake hands with someone and maybe make a mentor connection that way. But it's all about network connections, ladies and gentlemen. And so you have to have them in order to succeed, because nobody can do it by themselves. I don't think anybody can. I think with that, we're about out, right? So
Dr. Chapa, I have a quick question.
Okay.
I think before we, could you give a little bit of advice of the significance of letter of recommendations in the applications?
Yes,
just
sure.
For me, being a former community college student that was super shy, that was kind of like a big shocker after I kind of went through my undergrad of how significant you really need those.
Yeah, letters are so important. And the way that, and yeah, I think it was Olga who said, make friends with your professors, ask questions. So I'll tell you, I teach as an adjunct at a university sometimes. And in some of those classes, there could be 125 people. Adriana's in college still, you know, and she can attest to these massive monster classes where you're one of 300. Well, if you don't make an effort to go knock on a door and say, hey, you know, I'm Irene, I don't get this, or I just wanted to shake your hand and tell you thanks for the lecture, I enjoyed it, or man, I really didn't get it, or whatever, they're not going to remember you because you're just one in a big group. So you need to make relationships with your professors because they are going to write your letters. Now, letters are important because when your applications come in electronically or on paper or whatever, those people are vouching for you, okay? They are your representatives. And when you ask for a letter, don't just say, will you write me a letter? Say, will you write me a positive letter? Because I will tell you, I have sat on lots of admissions committees and you see letters where the people are like, don't take this kid for blah, blah, blah reason. That would have you know, I get heartbroken. Like, why would you ask that person, but the kid didn't know that professor didn't think highly of them. So make sure you are making a good impression. Ask people if they'll write you a positive letter, and then give them equipment so they can write the letter. Don't ever ask for a letter without a resume. So you say, here are the things I've done, so that they know all the amazing things about you and they can write about them, because they may not know all the 10,000 things you've been involved with. They may only know you as a great student. So letters are super important. They are your advocates, and make sure you have good advocates. Anything else, Adriana and Olga? I think with that, I'm gonna say goodbye. Adriana, any last minute advice? Olga, any last minute advice?
Maybe going back to what Vanessa had asked earlier, studies actually show that students who are coming from community college do just as well, if not sometimes better, than students who have already started their secondary education at this four-year institution. So I just thought that was important to share.
Thank you, Adriana.
They're asking how many letters of recommendation are needed when applying.
Usually 2. Usually 2. Don't send 20 because you'll overwhelm the place, but usually 2. Yeah. Olga, any last minute words?
Yeah, no, I just want to say good luck. Don't give up, man. Just keep going. Build. If you don't have self-motivation, build it. Build it now. You're in a 2-year college. For when you're at the 4-year college, then you'll have that motivation that that you need to get through the classes. Another very important thing that my girls have learned that is really important, if you don't know how to take notes, Google how to take notes, because you need to know how to take good notes in class. I mean, now you do a lot of stuff on the computer and stuff. Make sure that you are taking the necessary points when the professor's talking or whatever. Learn how to do that. And then just self-discipline. Just tell yourself, I can do it. I'm going to do it. And no, I can't go play baseball. And no, I can't go eat. Or no, I can't go to the bar. I got to do this. So that is self-discipline. So that's another thing that you need to really work on. Getting to where you're at, there's going to be, like I said, a lot of in and outs. But if you stick to what you believe, and if you stick and you fight for what you want, you will get it. So good luck to you all.
Absolutely. And we at UT Health, Miss Adriana, Miss Olga, thank you guys for joining me on this, and myself, Dr. Chapa. Don't forget, we're here for you. So whether you're in China or in Tucson, you can always reach out to us, and we're happy to share our insights for whatever that's worth. Thanks for spending your time with us. It was a joy. I feel like I rushed through everything, but so glad to meet all of you, even if it's for just an hour. Bye, everybody.
Someone asked for contact information. I just put it in the chat, our emails again.
Thank you, Adriana. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys so much.
Sure, send us emails. We'll be glad to answer your question. Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Good luck.